We're just over a month into the 2021 season, and there have been a lot of players that have been playing really well, but also a lot of players that have been disappointing. It feels like more than any other year recently, the 2021 season has been full of disappointing players. Now, maybe this is partially because of the shortened 2020 season. People expected big things from these guys based on a 60-game span, or maybe we just had unrealistic expectations for these players. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you the most disappointing player for every single team in Major League Baseball thus far through the 2021 season. If you guys want to see me do the most surprising player next weekend, I'm gonna need to see those likes. 2,500 likes, you're getting that video next weekend. Subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any of the content coming at you. Get in the comments down below. Let me know who you think has been the most disappointing player in baseball this season thus far. And make sure you drop me a follow on all my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc, as well as check out my podcast, the Mets Up Podcast. Link is in description. And I want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, BetQL. Want to get an advantage on NBA, NHL playoffs? What about an inside edge all MLB season long? If you answered yes to any of those, you need to download BetQL. It is the only app you'll need to make sports bets. Their best bets algorithm is crazy. This thing scans over 350,000 bets per year in order to give you the best recommendation for every single game across all major sports, and it also gives you the reasoning why you should be making this bet. BetQL also has a ton of other tools like sharp data, so you can see who the pros are backing and the line movement, so you can jump on betting opportunities in real time. Plus, you can save all your picks in one place to track your success and winning streaks, as well as view your rank on their leaderboard. So head to the App Store or Google Play Store and download BetQL. You can also head to the link in today's description of the video. And if you like BetQL, you can enter the code GIRAFFE at checkout for 25% off any of their subscription offerings. Don't miss out on your chance to beat the sportsbook this summer. Thank you to BetQL for sponsoring today's video. For today's video, getting it started off with the Tampa Bay Rays. And for the Rays, the most disappointing player on that team's got to be Willie Castro. Willie Castro is not off to a great start this year. A great talented young player, but at the plate this year, he's looked lost. In 37 games, 120 at-bats, he's got 4 homers, 4 doubles, and a triple with 11 RBIs, but he struck out 46 times and has only walked 6. That is a horrendous strikeout to walk ratio. He's just not putting the ball in play, swinging and missing a ton, and it's led to him having a 183 average, 222 on base, 333 slugging, and a 556 OPS, along with the defense just hasn't been as sharp as he's been in the past. Willie Castro definitely been disappointing and making it real easy for Wander Franco to get that call up any day now. Heading out west for Oakland A's most disappointing player, and I gotta go with the Lizard King, Jesus Luzardo. He's been anything but a king this year. First off, got hurt from playing video games. That's a tough break. And then on the mound, I'm waiting for him to break out and be filthy like he was in 2019 and even in the postseason that year, but he just hasn't shown it. A 5.79 ERA in 6 starts, 28 innings. He's got a whip at 1.607. He's only struck out 30 of the 127 batters he's faced this year, walking 12, giving up a ton of homers, 5 homers in 28 innings. Even has a FIP that's pretty high at 4.56. Like, Luzardo has good stuff. We always know that. But for him, the key is being healthy, 1, and 2, showing us that stuff. And he just hasn't really done it since 2019. Still 23 years old, still gonna be fine. But as a guy that you were hoping as an Oakland A fan that could hopefully lead this team to the playoffs, it's disappointing to see him pitching so poorly. The Minnesota Twins' entire team could honestly be included in today's video, but I decided to go to the pitching side and talk about Kenta Maeda as the most disappointing player. Kenta finished second in the Cy Young voting last year. He looks sick. And in 2021, well, it's been the complete opposite. The strikeouts are way down. The walks are up, the home runs are up, and the hits are up almost double per 9. Kenta's not pitching well. 7 games, 7 starts, a 5.08 ERA, a whip at 1.485, and a FIP at 5.33. He's only struck out 31 of the 151 batters he's faced. That's incredibly low. We're talking like 20% there. K rate, 8 home runs. Like, this is just not the same Kenta Maeda we saw in 2020. And as a Twins fan, you were counting on him being your ace, and he's just not been that guy. The most disappointing player on the Miami Marlins has to be Brian Anderson this season. I've been a huge fan of Brian Anderson. The last 2 years, he's put up an OPS above 800, and he's shown a little bit of power. You thought in his 28-year-old season, maybe this is the year he'd put it all together finally and have an all-star season, but no, he's off to an incredibly rough start. In 25 games, 2 homers, 3 doubles, 10 RBIs, hitting .204 with a .253 on base, .301 slugging, and a .554 OPS. That is by far a career low, and yes, it's an early season, yes, it's a quick start, but these are not great signs for Brian Anderson. Loved him as a player, still do, he's very good, but right now there's a little cause for concern in Miami for Brian. He is struggling mightily. 5th player in today's video, back out to the Pacific Northwest, Seattle Mariners, it's gonna be Evan White. Now, it's not like Evan White had a great 2020. He was disappointing last year, but you thought in a full season with the full spring training, everything going right for him, you'd maybe see him step up, and it's just not been the case. Evan White is still striking out at a crazy high rate. 31 strikeouts in 104 plate appearances, only 6 walks, 2 homers, 3 doubles, 9 RBIs, a 144 average, 202 on base, 237 slugging, and 439 OPS. You're starting to think that maybe Evan White just wasn't as good as you once thought. He's got a great glove, but it looks like right now at the plate, he's just completely overpowered by the major league pitching. Not not quality everyday first baseman stuff right now. So for the most disappointing player on the Cincinnati Reds, I was originally going to go with Eugenio Suarez, but oh my God, Luis Castillo. It's just not even close. Might be the most disappointing player in baseball. This season, Luis Castillo has made 8 appearances, 8 starts, 7.71 ERA in 37 1/3 innings pitched. He's given up the most hits and earned runs in Major League Baseball, has a 1.795 whip. He's not even striking guys out. 29 strikeouts of the 178 batters faced, giving up 13.3 hits per 9, 1.4 homers. I mean, this is a nightmare scenario. What happened to Luis Castillo? He has just looked like a completely different pitcher. Talk about buying low. Teams should be throwing offers at him right now. There's no way he stays this bad for a full season. He's just too talented. I can't believe how bad he's been. For the Detroit Tigers, not much has gone right this year, and especially with their younger players, specifically Willie Castro, who has been the epitome of disappointing. 32 games, 2 homers, 2 doubles, 2 triples, 10 RBIs. He's hitting 193. This is a guy we saw hit 349 in the short season in 2020. Granted, it was over 36 games. Maybe he truly wasn't as good as we saw, and from what we're seeing this year, it looks like if you even out there, it's not the same player. But like I said, 193 average, 256 on base, 294 slugging, 550 OPS. That's a lot more reminiscent of the 30-game stretch from 2019 from Castro than from 2020. Has me questioning how good of a player he truly is going to be. Just hasn't been consistent at all in his career thus far. And for a Tigers team that's been pretty bleak, he has definitely not helped. For the Boston Red Sox, it was tough, but I ended up sticking with Francie Cordero. Now, I don't think that the expectations were particularly high, but for a guy who has great tools all around the field, you didn't expect him to perform this poorly, especially if the Red Sox, Chaim Bloom, you thought they'd be able to fix him. That's just not even close to the case. Francie's been about as bad as an everyday starter could be. 30 games, 0 homers, 3 doubles, 12 hits and 87 at-bats, 6 RBIs. He struck out 33 times, walking only 6, a 150 average, 209 on base, 188 slugging, and a 397 OPS to give him an OPS plus of 13. It has been bad for Francie. Where's Jarren Duran? It's about time he starts playing. You can't keep throwing Francie Cordero out there when he's playing like this. I get he's got all the tools and he's got potential, but he just hasn't put it together almost ever. And then talking about Francie's former team, the Kansas City Royals, their most disappointing player has to be Mike Minor. Mike Minor was brought in this year to be a veteran presence, to give them consistent innings and perform well. While he didn't perform well in 2020, he still was good in 19, 18, and even 17. Just looks like 2021, it's starting to catch up to him again. 7 starts, 36 innings, a 5.75 ERA with a whip at 1.306, striking out less batters, walking more guys, giving up a few more hits and a few more home runs. You thought maybe going to Kansas City out of Texas, it would help him a little bit at Pitcher's Park, but that's not the case. Mike Minor has not been looking good, and it's definitely hurting the Royals. They need him to pitch better if they want to be a playoff contender. Third of the way through the video here, the number 10 player for the San Diego Padres, most disappointing, Blake Snell. Blake Snell has not been the pitcher the Padres thought. He's still striking out a lot of batters, 12.8 K per 9, striking out 50 of the 158 he's faced, so hovering around that 1/3 percentage. But in the 34 1/3 innings, a 4.19 ERA, a whip at 1.544, he is walking a shocking amount of batters, 24 walks, giving up 29 hits, 5 homers. Blake Snell is not looking sharp. He still has that swing and miss stuff, but it's everywhere else that's just not coming together, and I think it's safe to say he's been the most disappointing player on the Padres. A Cy Young winning pitcher coming in and struggling early on, that's not what you like to see. North of the border here for the Toronto Blue Jays, although I should say south now because they're in Florida, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Gurriel has come out the last few years and shown he is a premier hitting outfielder. 2019, 84 games, 869 OPS, even last year, 882, but he has been ice cold to start the season. 2 homers, 4 doubles, 10 RBIs in 33 games, a 195 average, 215 on base. He's only walked 3 times in 130 plate appearances, 276 slugging, and a 492 OPS. For a guy who's not really much of a defensive player, he needs to show a little bit something with the bat, and he's just not doing it. Lourdes Gurriel went from being a scary batter to, well, let's attack him because he's just not hot right now. But I think he will turn it around eventually. He's too good not to. Another Cuban making our list here for the Los Angeles Angels this time, Raisel Iglesias, easily the most disappointing player. Now, that team in general, very disappointing. You could chalk up a lot of players, but I think Raisel, who was brought in to be that lockdown closer, to be that one solid arm in the bullpen, to see him struggle as he has is not great. 14 games, 13 innings pitched, a 5.54 ERA, a 1.385 whip. Striking out 11.8 batters per 9 is nice, but he's given up a ton of hits, 15 hits in 13 innings. He's already given up 3 homers and walked 3 guys. Just not particularly sharp. I don't think he's necessarily bad. I think he'll turn it around because he is very good. He's shown that recently. But right now, things are just not clicking for Raisel in Los Angeles, and it's definitely disappointing for that team. Heading back east for the Baltimore Orioles, not a lot of high expectations, but I did think Ryan Mountcastle was going to be better than we've seen. 35 games last year, again, very small sample, and if it's taught you anything, small sample sizes mean nothing. But in this small sample, 36 games, Ryan Mountcastle has 3 homers, 7 doubles, 12 RBIs, hitting .218 with a 243 on base, 338 slugging, 581 OPS, 5 walks to 42 strikeouts, not great. You combine the 2 seasons together, 71 games, and he's hitting .274 with a 314 on base, base, 413 slugging, 727 OPS. So that's probably more realistic as to the player that he's going to be. But I had high hopes for him based on 2020, and he's just kind of fallen flat a little bit. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, it's a tough choice, but I ended up going with Nick Ahmed. Now, by no means did anyone think Nick Ahmed was going to be one of the best shortstops in baseball, or even expect too much from him, but he has been so incredibly bad this year that I think you have to include him. He's definitely a defensive first shortstop, but the last few years he's at least been driving in runs. This year he's doing pretty much nothing at the plate. A 200 average, 252 on base, 270 slugging, and a 522 OPS. That's just not good enough. That is very much replacement level, even with his great glove. The Diamondbacks need Nick Ahmed to be playing better, especially after they gave him that contract. That hurts. The other big A team here, the Atlanta Braves, Max Fried. I think there's no other choice. The Braves have been disappointing as a whole, but Fried has not looked good, especially coming out last year in 2020, finished 5th in the Cy Young voting, won a Gold Glove, got MVP votes, 2.25 ERA. Yeah, that's not the case at all this year. 5 starts, 22 innings, 6.55 ERA, a 1.7 whip. His FIP is even high at 4.92. While he is striking out more batters per 9, the K rate's not necessarily any better. 24 strikeouts for 104 batters faced, as opposed to 50 for 224. He's walking more guys, giving up a ton more homers, 4 homers thus far, and he's given up a shocking amount of hits, 29 hits in 22 innings. So he's not getting the swing and misses like he used to, and it's showing in his numbers. Especially with Soroka out, they needed Fried to step up, and he just has not done that. And then another rookie last season finished 2nd in the Rookie of the Year voting, Alec Bowman of the Phillies. Alec Bowman is a good player, I'm not worried, but to say he hasn't been disappointing for that Phillies team would be not true. So far in 38 games, he has 30 hits, which doesn't sound bad, but 4 homers, 4 doubles, 20 RBIs, striking out 41 times, only walking 7, a slash line of 216, 247, 331, and 578. That is just not good. He is struggling big time here. Alec Bohm needs to be better for the Phillies, especially when he doesn't have much with the glove there. Definitely disappointing, especially after the great rookie year he had in 2020. For the Texas Rangers, actually a lot of candidates for surprising players, but one guy who has been disappointing without a doubt, David Dahl. David Dahl was kind of a sneaky pickup this offseason, non-tendered by the Rockies, has had good seasons in the past, but coming off of an injury, there was some risk. And it's safe to say that in 2021, Dahl is not looking sharp. 3 homers, 6 doubles in 32 games, 10 RBIs, strikeout 32 times, walking only 5, a 214 average, 250 on base, 348 slugging, 598 OPS. That's just not going to cut it for David Dahl. I mean, he's been good in the past, but we're not seeing that player in Texas right now. The most disappointing player on the Milwaukee Brewers technically isn't even really on this team right now, and that's going to be Keston Hiura. How quickly he's gone from one of the top second basemen in the game to, he's in the minors. He got sent down. After a rough 2020 from a strong 2019 rookie campaign, 2021 continued on that just downward decline. 26 games, 1 homer, 4 doubles, a triple, and 5 RBIs, striking out 32 times in 89 plate appearances, walking only 6, 152 average, 247 on base, 266 slugging, and 513 OPS. It's not good. It's what got him sent down. Hope Kess Daddy brings it back, but that's a rough start to the year. Let's head out to the Bronx now to talk about the New York Yankees, and the most disappointing player on that team's got to be Gleyber Torres. Gleyber only has 1 home run through 33 games this year. This is a guy who back in 2019 hit 38 bombs, 24 in 2018, like he's got the power, but last year he only hit 3 in 42, and this year he only has 1. Plus his slash line's not good. 234 average, 326 on base, 298 slugging, 625 OPS. He's got a good eye at the plate. He's walking. He's being patient. He's just not hitting the ball hard, and when you don't play good defense either, makes it tough for Gleyber Torres to be anything but disappointing this year, and I think you Yankee fans can agree with me. The Windy City Chicago Cubs most disappointing player, Kyle Hendricks. Flat out, easy answer. If you thought that there was one player on the pitching staff that would be consistent and good this year, you would have circled Kyle Hendricks. He's been anything but that. A 6.23 ERA, by far the highest of his career in 34 2/3 innings. Weirdly enough, has thrown a complete game, but he's given up 11 home runs in 34 2/3 innings. That is a major league worst. Like, that's crazy. He's walked less guys than he's given up home runs. He's also given up 48 hits and only struck out 30 of the 165 he's faced. That's a FIP of 6.62 and a whip of 1.673. Basically a nightmare season for Kyle Hendricks. That's all I have to say. Not good. St. Louis Cardinals are playing good baseball, but one guy who's not, Paul DeJong. Paul DeJong is just, he's disappointing. I think that's just kind of the player he is right now. He's always been incredibly streaky, and right now it's a bad streak. 35 games. He does have 7 homers and 3 doubles with 17 RBIs, but the slash line's terrible. 177 average, 277 on base. At least the walks are saving him a little bit with a 371 slugging, 648 OPS plus at 82. To find a player on this team that was disappointing was a little bit tough, so I ended up choosing DeJong because you're expecting more from this guy, but the more and more you're seeing him play, maybe he's just not the answer for them at short. The Giants have had pretty much everything going right this year, so to find a disappointing player was tough. I ended up going with Mauricio Dubon, young player, center fielder for the Giants. Had a little bit of hype. I mean, he had a decent 2020, 726 OPS. He's looked lost at the plate this year, though, in 32 games. 1 homer, 4 doubles, 16 hits, a 229 average, 276 on base, 329 slugging, and 605 OPS. Again, like I said, the Giants have had just a really good season, so not necessarily the the best pick, but right now I think Dubon is definitely disappointing to Giants fans. The Los Angeles Dodgers, disappointing season, but the players are playing well. All of them except for Gavin Lux, who has definitely been disappointing. Gavin Lux, we're waiting for him to break out, but it just hasn't yet happened, and it continues in 2021. 27 games, 101 plate appearances, 1 homer, 1 double, 2 triples, 12 RBIs, hitting .234 with a .267 on base, .319 slugging, and .586 OPS. OPS plus at 65. Like, he has so much talent and is shown at the minor league level, but at the major league level, we really haven't been able to see him break out just yet, and he's definitely off to a bit of a slow start in 2021. For the Cleveland Indians, the most disappointing player, Andrés Giménez. A big piece in the Francisco Lindor trade. I think the Indians expect him to be better, a lot closer to what he was in 2020 with the Mets, just not seeing it. He obviously is always going to have a great glove, but the bat has not looked good. 27 games thus far, 2 homers, 4 doubles, 5 RBIs, and 4 stolen bases, but he's hitting .171 with a .220 on base, .303 slugging, and .522 OPS. Granted, his ceiling was kind of shown last year with a .732 OPS, but still, he's not performing even close to a major league caliber hitter, and when you're a big piece of that Francisco Lindor trade, I think the Indians expected more. Gotta be a little disappointed. For the Chicago White Sox, this one pains me because, like, he's a good pitcher, but Lucas Giolito, he's just not off to a great start, and he's a very good pitcher. He's just not showing it right now, and maybe McCann leaving was the big thing. He vouched for McCann badly. His numbers haven't been great since he left. 8 starts, 4.97 ERA in 41 2/3 innings pitched, striking out 50 batters, a whip at 1.30. Opponents are hitting .222 against him, walking 18. He's given up 8 homers, which is shockingly high in 41 2/3 innings, and he's just given up a few more hits. Like, he's not getting the swing and misses like last year. He's walking more guys and giving up more hits. Just not a recipe for success, but I think Giolito will turn around. He's just too good not to. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, quick and easy answer, Kevin Newman. Now, I don't think anyone had particularly high hopes for him, but on this roster, the guys that are playing well should be playing well, and the guys who aren't shouldn't be. So I went with Kevin Newman because he's just kind of the worst guy offensively on this team right now. 34 games, 130 plate appearances, 1 homer, 2 doubles, a triple, and 7 RBIs, .202 average, .231 on base, .258 slugging, and .489 OPS. That's just not a Major League Baseball player. Don't care how good the glove is. You can't have a .489 OPS and continue to go out there every single day, especially when for his career, he's not a particularly strong hitter. So Kevin Newman, I guess, is disappointing. Maybe. I don't know how you guys feel. Colorado Rockies, disappointing player, German Marquez. And shout out to my boy Magunsky. He's always talking about what we could do for trade packages for German Marquez. Well, his price is probably lower than it's ever been because he's off to a terrible start this year. 9 starts, 45 1/3 innings pitched, a 5.56 ERA, only struck out 48 batters, which is a little bit low, a 1.65 whip. Opponents are hitting .280 against him. That's crazy high. Walking 26, giving up 5 homers, 49 hits on the season, 28 earned runs. Any way you slice it, German Marquez, who has looked like a good pitcher in the past, is not looking like a good one right now. For the Washington Nationals, you thought Josh Bell was going to come in and be the first base offensive bat that they needed. It's not been the case. Josh Bell has been bad, coming off of a really bad 2020, and before that, a career season in 2019. But ever since the second half of 2019, Bell just has not been very good. 2021 thus far, 24 games, 4 homers, 4 doubles, 12 RBIs, but he's hitting 140 with a 202 on base, 326 slugging, and 528 OPS. There is nobody who could think that he hasn't been disappointing. The clear and obvious choice for the most disappointing player. Like, he came in, he was supposed to be this big bat. You thought it was a good move, but so far through the 24 games he's played, he definitely is not helping this team out very much. Second to last team here, Houston Astros. Most disappointing player was tough because everyone's kind of playing well, so I went with Carlos Correa just because he's probably the guy with the most hype who's playing the worst. 36 games, 5 homers, 7 doubles, 16 RBIs, a 246 average, 299 on base, 401 slugging, and 700 OPS. For a guy who's going into free agency this offseason, trying to get paid big time, he's definitely not performing at the level he needs to in order to get that bag, to get paid. We've seen him be a player who can be one of the best shortstops in the league, but right now the offense just isn't there to warrant him being one of the top shortstops even on the market next year. So Carlos Correa, definitely a little disappointing thus far, but he's like still very good. I'm not worried. And then for the last and final player, we've got my New York Mets. I swear I didn't do this on purpose. I hit random on the list. Francisco Lindor. I'd be lying if I said Francisco Lindor hasn't been disappointing this year. I love his glove. That's been great, but at the plate, he hasn't been what I want him to be just yet. 30 games, 2 homers, 2 doubles, 7 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. He's walked more than he struck out, though. That's a huge thumbs up. 202 average, 321 on base, 275 slugging, 596 OPS. By no means is that a good season. I can accept that. Do I think he will continue this for the entire year? No shot. He's been hitting a lot better the last week or so, but to say that he hasn't been disappointing when this is a guy who we thought would step in and be like an MVP candidate for us, I'd be lying. So I'm not worried about him, but I'm definitely disappointed in what I've seen thus far. I was hoping for more. So those are the most disappointing players for every single team in the 2021 season thus far in Major League Baseball. I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Who do you think I left off this list? Who do you think has just been the most disappointing? Drop a like on the video. 2,500 likes. We will show you the most surprising player next weekend, as well as subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the content coming at you. We've been dropping some bangers. I told you, we're back. Drop me a follow on all my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc, links in the description, as well as a link to my podcast. And that's where I'm gonna wrap up today's video, guys. You know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload. Click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another video. Bye.